The gentlemen before me were all lawyers, so they get paid by the word. I am not, therefore this will be short and sweet. The U.S. Youth Soccer Competitive Coach of the Year Award recognizes a competitive coach for his or her coaching activities, sportsmanship, player development, personal and coaching development, and citizenship. Now at this time, I would like to ask the Regional Girls Competition Coach of the Years to join me on the stage. First, for Region 1, Joseph, who I call Joseph A, because we've become friends tonight, and I can't say his last name, Apodaca. Joseph? Joseph secured his first coaching responsibility at age 14. For the 3 decades since, he has honored the coaching skills through years of military service, international travel, and continued coaching education. He currently holds a USSF A license. From Region 2, Carrie Hedem. You can clap, it's okay. Carrie's Hammer FC teams train and play in an environment of joy and hard work. Carrie holds a USSF C license and a National Youth license. Prior to her current position at Hammer FC, Carrie served as a staff coach for Utah Youth Soccer Association. By the way, she used to play against me in indoor soccer there, and for Florida Youth Soccer Association. Carrie, congratulations. From Region 3, Adrian Solkow. Adrian wants all of his players to learn that hard work yields a profit. Adrian coaches various levels in North Texas and finds success in each, from leading his Solar Soccer Club U16 girls to the 2010 U.S. Youth Soccer Region 3 Championships and National Championships, to guiding his U11 girls to a league championship. And from Region 4, Stephanie Coppola. Stephanie has successfully transitioned from an elite player at Stanford into a competitive coach and has instilled her love of the game in her players. Stephanie holds a USSF B license and currently coaches at the Rio Vista FC and for New Mexico Youth Soccer, U.S. Youth Soccer ODP program. Stephanie, congratulations. And the winner is Joseph A. Congratulations.
I don't know if I can keep it short, so hang in there. But my wife always tells me I talk too much, so I guess it must be true. But that's the first person I have to thank for everything. She's been with me since I met her in Mallorca, Spain, when I was on deployment, because we were in Beirut in the later stages of the Beirut issue, way back in the mid-'80s. And she's been by my side the whole time, cared for my family when I was deployed. And then when I retired in 2003, I told her of an experience that I had in Iraq. And I told her that I made a promise when I was in Iraq that I wanted to dedicate myself to something big. I was a big tennis player when I was a youth. I was ranked number 3 when I lived in Brazil, in the country. I was here in the States, ranked nationally. And I said it's either tennis or soccer, because I had a love for soccer. My dad was in the State Department, so I grew up overseas. I learned to play soccer in Brazil for 5 years. I played at Botafogo Futebol Clube, which was right across the bay in Botafogo where I lived. And the passion has never left me. And my promise was, because of an event that took place, I said, I'm going to dedicate myself to coaching young ladies and give them the leadership and the citizenship and the will to succeed. Because oftentimes the world's not fair, but I carry that in my heart. I really do have this passion to teach, and we've heard some great history in here about former coaches, players, etc. And one of the things that I love about this is that having grown up overseas, I was always the American. So even when I was playing in Brazil in the early 70s, I was o americano que joga futebol, the American that plays soccer, because nobody would recognize an American playing soccer. Even when I came back on home leave, which is when you get to come back to the States when you're overseas, my brother and I had a passion for soccer, and that's when I was in Las Cruces, New Mexico. You would think, being that close to the border of Mexico, that they'd have soccer, and they didn't. So we wanted to play, and we went to the local police department and asked them if they would sponsor through the Police Athletic League a league for us. So my brother and I got all of my cousins, big, small, whatever, and I said, okay, you can kick a lot of people really hard, so you're the defender. You have a little bit of finesse, so I'll teach you as much as I know. And then my brother was a keeper, and he was a pretty big guy, and he was very good. But we taught our cousins and some friends that we had, and we ended up winning that league. So I said, well, this is pretty interesting. Coaching, teaching people things. And that's what brings me back to the desire to teach, the desire to learn. And we heard Hank Lung, who taught me in my D license. Gary Allen taught me my C license. And I can go on with all of the instructors that have taught me how to teach this game. And I think the key thing that I take away every time is not what the license is, it's what I learn to instill that passion, the love in each player that I have the good fortune and the opportunity to coach. And it goes back to that promise I made in Iraq. But there's just so much in American soccer history that goes unmentioned. And having lived overseas most of my life, I've always been that American. What does the United States know about soccer? And I had the opportunity to be an attaché in Argentina, which is a military diplomat, basically. And this was back in the late 90s. And, in my conversation, soccer unites. And soccer unites in a big way. To have Ethiopians and Somalis playing together. To have people, I played on an all-Iranian team when I went to St. Louis University in an amateur league that won the state. I was the only American. They were all from Iran. What do we have in common? Soccer. I played in an indoor league that had an Israeli, an Algerian, a Lebanese, a Syrian, and 2 American Jewish soccer players. We didn't care about what the issue was. We were there to play soccer. And along the way, it was just fun. But soccer unites, and I think when I was in Argentina, I learned a big, huge lesson, and it was about our own culture, about what we're capable of doing. And even though U.S. soccer in general is looking for that key moment, what defines us as soccer in the world, I don't think we have too much to worry about, because there is no better friend than the United States. But on that field, beware, because they know that the United States is one heck of a producer, an inventor, innovator, just like Gary said. We innovate. We push hard. We have a passion. If you watched any of the World Cups, you could see it in the second half. That passion comes out in U.S. soccer. We don't give up. We never will. And every one of these kids that we coach, and it doesn't really matter where they come from, what their economic, socioeconomic background is, the fact is that they're there to do one thing. You're there to impart the soccer knowledge, life lessons, how to be a good citizen. And that's all you can expect. But from that come the CJ Sapongs, who lives right across the street from me. I watched him every day. If you don't know who he is, he's the MLS Rookie of the Year. Played right there where I live. Those are the things that happen here in the United States, opportunity. And my Argentine friends always told me, we're really scared about that colossus to the north, which has been historical in foreign affairs, that Latin America kind of looks at the United States like we get involved in too much down there. But the one big thing they're worried about is this colossus from the north that's coming, and our turn is coming. We have the know-how, we have the energy, we have the philosophy, and we have such a great spirit in this country that you should be very proud of. And I know every time I look at these kids, even though I drive them hard and I hold them to a very high standard, they're there and they're willing to accept that challenge. And I just really, I'll tell you, and then I'll close because I know they want to sit down and you want to move on. But this is probably the only opportunity I'll ever have to kind of teach something to a large group and share an idea. But we, as U.S. Soccer, youth soccer, we are a dynamic institution. I didn't know it existed until I didn't really have the knowledge until I came back from Iraq, and I said, this is what I really wanted to do. And there is absolutely nothing that I can do to accept this award as an individual, because everything that I have done is because of the contact that I have made with other people, the players, their families, the opportunity that Joe Ray gave me back at PWSI, that Mike Yates gave me at PWSI, and Ken Krieger, and I really appreciate that. The last thing, honestly, is thanks to U.S. Soccer in general for recognizing and donating or bringing in the Wounded Warrior Project as another one of their organizations of which they participate in. And I'd like to thank all of you out there that have served, are serving, and to keep the fire burning in the soccer sphere. Thank you very much.